And joining our discussion now, Gilberto Hinojosa, chairman of the Texas Democratic Party and a former county judge, and Texas State Representative Gina Hinojosa, who represents the 49th District. This is father and daughter. Thank you very much, both of you, for joining us. Mr. Hinojosa, you have seen so much in your time in Texas. Have you ever seen a situation in which public officials have been less accountable and less helpful in explaining as quickly as possible what actually happened in that school?
No, never. This is the first time I've seen anything like this occur, particularly when you have so many different law enforcement agencies involved here. You know, we had the Department of Public Safety, which is the chief law enforcement agency in the state of Texas. They're generally the people that when they come onto a scene such as this, they take charge. They're the ones that are calling all the shots. And then they're blaming the head of the school district police department, which is a small department, both just of a few people. This is a city of 16,000. You're not talking about a big police department. So it's very strange to me that the largest law enforcement agency, the agency that's in charge of all law enforcement in the state of Texas, in a sense, the Department of Public Safety would defer over to a small city school district, the chief of police to make these critical decisions. It doesn't make any sense. But what it does tell you here, though, more than anything else, when anybody says that the cause of these loss of life is not the weapon but the shooter, they don't understand that when you've got somebody like this with an automatic weapon in a school firing at police officers, it really puts a lot of pressure on them not to go forward because they're scared. So no matter what happens, these weapons of war are a cause of death in a lot of different ways. And in this instance, they prevented police officers from going into the school to save these children because they were afraid they were going to get shot. This is a weapon that has no business being in the hands of private citizens. It is a weapon of war. It's designed to kill human beings.
Representative Hinojosa, what should the governor of Texas be doing?
Well, first, the governor needs to put politics aside and tend to the needs of Texans. I was really disappointed to hear that in his speech to the NRA last week, he said that changing the law wouldn't make a difference. It wouldn't matter. And at the same time, that was in a recorded video, yet he was in person in Uvalde saying to the community there that we would absolutely change the laws to make our school children more safe. It is time to put politics aside and to do what's right for the people of Texas to keep our school children safe. We need to take action. We need an emergency special session to be called by our governor. He has sole discretion to call an emergency special session so we can pass laws to allow for our schools to be safe, our children to be safe before the school doors open back up in August.
Mr. Hinojosa, the governor said something I found very strange the other day when he suggested that mass shootings like this are a new phenomenon, and in particular, a new phenomenon in Texas, when you and I certainly know that the very first such event of the television age occurred in Texas in 1966 in the Texas Tower in Austin at the University of Texas, with a former Marine getting up into that tower with a rifle and shooting down at people. I believe he killed about 16 people that day on the campus. Our understanding of these kinds of events began in Texas over 50 years ago.
And it's gotten worse. I mean, we've seen in the last few years, we had a mass school shooting in Santa Fe High School in Galveston County. We had the Sutherland Church incident where somewhere around 23 or 27 churchgoers were killed. Then you had what happened at the Walmart in El Paso, where around 27 people were killed by a mass shooter, all of them using AR-15s. We have had in the United States 27 school shootings since the first of the year, one every week since then. This is a phenomenon that we have that has become out of control in this state and in this country. Look, the governor called 3 successive special sessions to pass a voter suppression law in the state of Texas because he said it was a high priority for the people of the state of Texas. A law that everybody knew was not needed because their own Secretary of State said that in Texas the election was run in a very responsible and fraud-free way. Why can't he call a special session on this where we have 19 children that were killed, 2 adults that were killed by a person that got an automatic weapon the day that he turned 18 years old in the state of Texas? You can buy an automatic weapon at the age of 18, but you can't buy a gun. You got to wait till 21 to be able to buy a gun. And you don't need a license for any of these things in Texas because this governor who talks about priorities said it was a priority in the state of Texas to pass a law that says you don't have to have a permit to carry a gun in the state of Texas. This is crazy. This is what we are seeing in the state of Texas by this governor and the Republican legislature in the state of Texas. And that's why these things happen. That's why children die every single day.
Representative Hinojosa, we heard people in Uvalde pleading with President Biden, do something. That was their plea, as simple and raw as that. You must be getting that same kind of plea in Texas. What do you tell people about a Republican-controlled government in which you're trying to do something?
Well, we need to hold them accountable. I will say I am hearing from even Republicans now that we need to do something and that we need to do something about the gun. Please understand that this is not who we are as Texans in terms of our culture and our history. It wasn't until 1994 that you could even carry a handgun in public in the state of Texas. In the 30 years under Republican control, we have obliterated our gun safety laws to the point, as my dad was saying just a bit ago, that now you no longer need to pass a background check or receive training to carry a gun in public. This is nonsense. Texans are about family. We're about integrity. We can do something about this problem, and it's on all of us to demand accountability and demand that something be done now, that we do not wait. We can no longer wait. We must act now before schools open back up in August. We have a window right now to do something to keep our kids safe.